So right off the bat, I'll tell you that this video is a work in progress because I've got a few calls out just to see what the numbers come back at. Because on the CMHC website, when they talk about what rental incomes that they're going to use, there's a very, very small number of cities, municipalities that they actually talk about. So when you're trying to calculate what the affordable rent is, and they use 30% of the median rental income, they tend to take pockets of different towns and smaller municipalities and lump them all together. So, if you're working off of just strictly rural Ontario, or that's what they classify it as because it doesn't quite fit. The rents may be skewed significantly lower. Alternatively, it might be great for somebody who's building in Northern Ontario. Who knows? Because it's one of those things where you're painting an entire canvas with one brush, and it's certainly not applicable across the board when you get down into cities that builders want to build in and that need rental income. Rental properties. So when we look at the list of what they do provide, and I'll put this in the comments, but some of the numbers were kind of surprising. I really and truly didn't think that what they would deem as affordable would be so low. And when I look at the chart, and then I do a quick comparison of what rents actually are, it's a huge disconnect. So there's some municipalities that it would be virtually impossible to include an affordability aspect of it without significant upside on the other rents. So, and what are they going to do? They're going to build 400 square foot units like that. That really doesn't help a lot of people. So, we're trying to do our best, but I'll go through some of the numbers. So, in Ontario, across the board, they'll look at a monthly rent, and this is the cap for maximum monthly rent on the affordability side as $1,215. That's sort of the provincial average. Rural centers, and I'll never not have a tough time pronouncing that, but rural centers, they're looking at $1,038 a month. So, you take those two numbers, and it might only be $200 a month, but it's a significant dollar figure when you're looking at DCR rates and so debt coverage ratios and that sort of stuff. So you have to be cognizant of what those affordability standards are. So like I mentioned, I've got some calls out to different municipalities that are actively attempting to engage builders to build there, to see if they have any insight as to documents that they can provide us for their specific situation that would allow us to charge a higher rent. And it's not that, hey, we'd love to be as affordable as possible. That's not the question. Is the project feasible if rents are too low? So, you're trying to hit different targets. So one of the things I found as I was going through this research, though, and I actually thought they did away with this part of the program. So I haven't mentioned it in any of the previous videos, but I think it's certainly important to say. So when you lock into an affordability aspect of rents, you are basically signing up for a 10-year period where you say, you know what, those next 10 years, we will have it at those rents and not dramatically increase it without permission. And when we say permission, so CPI index they'll actually allow for additional rents to be added. In 2026, that number in Ontario is 2.9%, which is helpful, but you can't add it to your base rent. So it's not like so all the numbers that they're providing is 2019 for median renter income. But even with that said, you can't go back over those 7 years and increase the base rate, which would be helpful. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I'm going to run through these just real quick, and you'll permit me to just kind of look off screen here. But Barrie is one of the higher ones at $1,473 a month. Brampton at $1,693, and I believe that is the highest as I go through the list of Ontario cities. So yeah, it's certainly worth noting that Brampton at $1,700. But when you compare that to what a one-bedroom apartment would be naturally, the increase isn't that much. So $1,900 to $2,100. Couple that with Brampton's push to help with buildings that are underway, where they're waiving their portion of the development charges. So that's fantastic. So Brampton, believe it or not, might be an affordable place to build out rental properties, which intrinsically you wouldn't necessarily think so. Then it depends on how much you're paying for the land. But anyway, Brantford at just a hair over $1,000 a month, whereas you compare to $1,900 a month for what market rents are, right? So it's not quite half, almost half, but not quite half. Then you've got Cornwall, and this one kind of struck me as an outlier, because I don't think of Cornwall as a necessarily super affordable. But it's saying that the maximum rent that you would be able to charge for an affordable unit is $618 a month. That just strikes me as very low. Going down the list, so one that hits home with us, Guelph at $1,435. So that's a key metric that we're interested in. So that's good to see that that's a reasonable number. Market rents in and around that $2,000 mark, so it's not that far off. So yeah, that's good to see. Hamilton surprises me at $1,100, because they had a big uptick there in demand. Sort of as people were looking for a more affordable option than Toronto. You had Hamilton kind of step up and offer. Take these out. Hopefully I didn't screw up the sound there, but anyway. Kingston, so Braden currently living in Kingston. Their maximum affordable rent that you could charge would be $1,300. Kitchener, $1,425. So just like literally a hair less than Guelph. So that's interesting. London coming in at just under $1,000 a month. Mississauga. So again, this is one that that kind of struck me as low, but $1,225. So again, comment as you wish. Oshawa, $1,350. So Ottawa and Gatineau on the Ontario side, $1,535. So that's still up there. And then Sarnia. So again, I don't, the proximity that we are to Sarnia, I would think I would know more about it. But even as a border town, you're at $645. And the other border town at Windsor, $850. So for Windsor to be higher than Sarnia just strikes me as odd. The Sault, so if people are interested in investing in Sault Ste. Marie, you're $550 a month, maximum affordable rent. And St. Catharines, Niagara, $1,050. So then you're Thunder Bay, $1,000, and then Toronto, CMA, $1,348. So all those numbers are kind of interesting to me. Windsor, their market rents in and around that $1,500, $1,600 a month. So again, most of these affordable rents are coming in somewhere in the neighborhood of half, right, of what market rents are, like so on the affordability side. And what that tells me is there's certainly a group of haves and have-nots. So you've got, in my estimation, you've got property prices that are being pushed up, demand for ownership and that sort of stuff. You've got a lack of rental supply, but you don't necessarily have a ton of people, or certainly not the average individual that can afford to pay it. So it's an interesting dichotomy to me. But where I was going before I got into the list of stuff was, when you sign up for 10 years, the affordable component. If you have, let's say 15% of your tenants, of your units, so 15% of your units are deemed affordable, and you sign up for 10 years, you hit 70 points. Now, as I mentioned in previous videos, that the target certainly should be 100 points. Maybe not. Maybe you just want to get into that insured market. But by stating and signing a declaration that the affordability will be extended for 20 years, you get an additional 30 points. And that's the part of the program that I thought disappeared because it wasn't in some of the main literature. But when I started going through the CPI indexing and that sort of stuff, they have a little asterisk that indicate, hey, you've got, you sign on for 20 years instead of 10. Now all of a sudden we're going to give you a bonus 30 points. So that means without increasing efficiency or doing anything, because there is a cost to that efficiency component. And what's interesting too, and I mentioned it, you can make these things very efficient. You can increase lots of different things, different ideas. But with stacked towns, which would be sort of the go-to for the MLI Select, where you're trying to hit 5+ units, 6+ units, these stacked towns, it's difficult to really increase efficiency when you have a multitude of shared walls. So you have to be cognizant that you might be doing everything right on the efficiency side, but it might not be moving the needle as far as you could easily move it when you're doing single family detached. So with Kingwell Fine Homes, we build out net zero ready homes. We've got a lot of experience with that. A few years ago, we were actually nominated for, we finished top 5 in voting for the Canadian National Housing and in the net zero production home category. So we had a submission there, and we're very proud of it. So we've got a significant amount of experience with the net zero side, but in dealing with Toby at Building Knowledge, who helps us out with that sort of stuff, he just puts up a flag and says, hey, just a heads up, just a warning. What you can do to increase the efficiency for some of the individual units as opposed to stacked towns, it's going to be far more difficult to hit those efficiency increase numbers. And you need to increase the building efficiency over what typical code built home by 70% to really stack up some of those points. So not necessarily the easiest thing, but if you deem your percentage of units affordable for 20 years, you would immediately hit those targets if you're already at 15% of units as affordable. I guess then you could balance out and say, okay, what's going to be better? Do I do 25% for 10 years, hit the 100 points, or do I do 15% for 20 years? Yeah, but anyway, so a quick way to hit those points. So that's beneficial. Anyway, we'd love to have more feedback as you're going through the numbers, but wanted to give you some stats on what CMHC is saying, what they're using for prices for rents right now, and I really found it interesting how the numbers varied so dramatically from city to city. Anyway, let me know what you thought, Sarah, and in the comments, and I appreciate you watching.